I dust my broom. I'm getting up soon in the morning. I believe I'll dust my broom. Out with the best guy I'm loving. Now my friends can have my room.
Hello, welcome to Between Frets, a space where female musicians meet and discuss all things music. I'm your host, Genny Jam, and today we're talking with illustrator, musician, Sabrina Cintron. Her book, The Witches Grimoire, is available for purchase on her website, stardaystrail.com, and you can also find her prints there and purchase those too. And you can see all her music and her musical jams on her socials, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Welcome, Sabrina.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi, thank you. Fret Sisters extends a warm welcome, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us for our season 6. Yay!
Yay. I'm so glad to be here and chat with you all. It's an honor, pleasure.
Oh, it's an honor, definitely for me, because like when they gave me your name and I was like doing my research, the thing is that okay, you're an illustrator first of all, which is cool, and a musician, and I also design for a living. I'm not an illustrator though, so you're very good. Your work is beautiful, but I do more design. I'm like more when I went to school. I was like, do I want to be an illustrator or do I want to, go into the business commercial part of it? And that's basically what I did. I took advertising design, but I also do music on the weekend. So basically I'm working 7 days a week, pretty much doing that and music, but my livelihood is design. So when I saw that you were a musician and a designer, I was very excited because you meet a lot of musicians that draw on something, or a lot of illustrators that maybe dabble in music, but somebody who actually has two crafts, like pretty much that's like their thing. Thank you. I'm happy to meet you.
Wow. It's crazy because I'm still like, one of my big goals right now is to find a way to successfully marry the two. I don't know if I'm there yet. Because they're both, two things that I love, and I really wanted to kind of have them flow together in the same imaginative space that I've created. So it's still a work in progress, but I'm glad to hear all those things. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah, I'd love to learn to like hear more about like your story, when you got started. The main thing is, what came first, music or art, that kind of thing. But yeah, let us know.
Well, the music came first. I started playing guitar, I don't know, maybe when I was 9 or 10, maybe 8, actually. It was pretty young. I didn't start drawing until a few years later, because as a kid, I was into a lot of like nerdy Japanese anime television shows. So that's what I was drawing, and especially in high school. And I'd been playing as well throughout that whole time, but I didn't start taking art seriously until my senior year of high school. Started posting more online and a lot of fan art, because that usually draws the most attention. A lot of TV shows and books, fan art as well. And I actually stopped playing guitar for a while because when I was 15, we had moved to Florida, and I was there for about 8 years. And that whole time I wasn't really playing as much. I was drawing a hell of a lot, but not really playing. It wasn't until what the pandemic started and everything got locked down that I actually started to find a focus with the kind of music that I wanted to play. Because I had kind of had like not really much of a direction in what I was playing. It was a lot of contemporary Christian music or whatever pop music was out. It wasn't until I got furloughed from my job at the beginning of 2020. I started to dabble in slide guitar and Americana and folk and blues. But let me backtrack to 2016 when I got my first professional art gig on an independent comic book called La Borinqueña. It's about a Puerto Rican superhero. And since then, I've gotten all these opportunities to kind of bolster my illustration credentials, and I've gotten a lot of commissions since then. But when I started to find direction in my guitar playing, that's when I really wanted to combine whatever I was illustrating and storytelling with my music. I was starting to find a path or a trail with that. I started illustrating my favorite blues musicians from back in the day that I was simultaneously researching so I can learn the history as well as the music. So it's a weird kind of timeline. They kind of skip over and jump over each other, but I feel like now I've finally found a way to kind of bring them together. And my favorite thing right now is drawing commissions. People have been commissioning album artwork for me and single covers for me. That's a lot of fun because I actually get to work with their vision, because they're artists too, so it's really expressive and it's really fun to bring that to life, in addition to trying to figure out where my own music is going to go. So it's kind of giving me a little bit practice, so when I finally do create because I do want to record in the future, that'll hopefully will get me bring me some focus into what I want to do with mine. But that's kind of a short, messy summary of everything.
Yeah, and it's kind of like having those two gifts, I guess, and trying to do you ever feel like you're getting pulled one way or another, or like the confidence level of
Oh yeah, for sure.
playing or designing, like
Yeah, because it's tough because I know there are a lot of things that I want to do for like personal artwork that I want to create, and then I kind of get sidetracked with other commissions, and I have to kind of put that aside and focus on whatever, if it's a commission, whatever the client wants, so I kind of have to get into that headspace when oftentimes I kind of just want to stay in my own imagination, so that's kind of tricky. I'm trying to balance that because at the end of the day, I do want to create artwork that kind of fulfills me. That's why I do it. But because this is, I'm a freelance artist, so this is my job. I'm self-employed. So, I have to, there are days where I do have to focus on work to pay the bills, and sometimes I have to put all the artwork and ideas and creativity aside that I want to do personally and put myself in someone else's headspace to complete the work. And it's both good and bad. Because in a way I get to learn how to see things through other people's perspectives and not just stay in my own head. And then other times I'm like, man, I really want to record this thing or draw this thing, but I can't, I have to work today. And, it's tough. And as well as far as the confidence level is, I feel more confident in my artwork as of late. My music, I don't know, for some reason that's a little bit more closer to like right here, like I hold it pretty close to my chest, and I'm like, I feel like it's more challenging for me to express myself through music than through art. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress, but the confidence comes with repetition, and I haven't actually gone live and performed in a while. I should probably do that, but because I have like hermit like tendencies where I'll just like play to myself often. But yeah, there's always a nagging thing with the whole confidence and reinforcement of that. But I feel like that's I know it's a cliche with artists, but it's really true to have that kind of struggle.
It's like being a designer artist. You have the same kind of feelings that a musician would go through. Right. Sometimes it's like, going through challenges and saying, yeah, I can do that, or I'm going to try that. So it's pretty wild that you have both of that, like pretty much in your head. Like I call it like left brain, right brain type thing. I'm more right brain than left brain, but, and more musicians are more left brain than right brain or something like that. But do you consider, think of yourself for that?
It's just chaos for me. So just wish me luck because I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing. No one knows what they're doing. That's kind of the secret to it, you know, and I'm just creating and hoping that, you know, even if it's just a few people that, you know, they like my work or they like my music, and I can resonate with them that way. And I've met a lot of great people through Instagram, with my playing and my artwork, and people have supported me by buying my art prints and things like that. And we get to share stories and tips on how do you do the alternating bass thumb. I was just talking to someone about that. You know, so that's kind of the good part, is to, you know, connect with other people, because we're all going through it, you know, just talking to other people about it helps, definitely.
So you've been commissioned to design a lot of things, comics and album art. So was that just something like somebody found you on Instagram, or do you have like a Behance or something like that? Or
Well, when I got my first like professional illustration gig on La Borinqueña, I was found through Twitter, because there was that hashtag going around, Visible Women, which was to highlight women in comics and illustration. So I had tweeted something, some samples of my work, hashtag Visible Women, and I was found by the creator of Somos Arte, a graphic design studio, Edgardo Miranda Rodriguez. And he took me on as kind of as a mentor, teaching me the ropes and how comics work, and the actual, like, it's more like a relay race. So like a team of artists come together to work on things. And so from there, I was getting all these, you know, all these opportunities to illustrate, you know, pinups or short comics, things like that. And that's the crazy part. So like, I was found with a Twitter hashtag, you know.
That's awesome.
That's the wild thing. And that's, Edgardo, he actually did the foreword for my art book, and he actually talks about the origin story of that. But yeah, that's mostly how I've been found, is through social media, through things like that. And it kind of just snowballed. Once I started drawing my blues artist prints, so like the ones of Robert Johnson, of Lightning Hopkins, and I just started posting other random personal illustrations. People would message me on IG and be like, hey, I really love your artwork. I'm thinking about dropping a single or an album. What can we do? And so really it really just came from me not stopping posting, if that makes sense. So like, if you don't post your artwork, if you don't share it with other people, then no one's going to see it. So, I mean, I know my numbers and analytics are great, and I try not to pay attention to that, but you know, it's interesting, because like it could be that one piece that really blows up, and then all of a sudden you have all these messages and support and things like that. So there were a couple of times where I wanted to stop, just no one cares about my artwork. They're not going to see it, you know. But time and time again, it's happened where I post something and people become inspired by that, and they like it, and they reach out to me, and I can create for them, and it's a blessing, really.
Yeah, it is a blessing. I want to get to your book, The Witches Grimoire. Now, I did see your video of you introducing it. And what's so cool about it is that somebody, a publishing company, or it was a publishing company that reached out to you. But what I noticed was the paper on it. It was printed on. Beautiful, by the way.
Oh yeah, that sparkly orange paper on the side. Oh, that's my favorite part. It's so spooky, and we're in the height of spooky season right now, so it's like perfect. I love it.
Definitely. So how did that come about?
So I was doing the Inktober challenge in 2018, which is you draw one ink drawing every day for the month of October, and you end up with 31 ink drawings. And so in the middle of it, I was messaged on Instagram by Lance Arroyo, who owns Radix Media, which is a print shop in Brooklyn, independently owned. He's like, hey, I really love your artwork. The Inktober drawings look great. Do you want to put them in like a chat book and print them once they're all done? And I was like staring at my phone for the longest time. I was like, you want to make my art into a book? I didn't even finish the challenge. You know, I think I was like on day 10 of Inktober, And I was just like, yeah, I want to do that. So he's like, yeah, so we'll co-publish it. And we'll make it like your first publication. And I couldn't believe it. And I feel like that was one of my goals, was to have something physical and tangible that has my name on it with my artwork. I didn't know what it was going to be. But it so turned out it was going to be the Inktober collection. So I was drawing, I chose witches as my theme. So each day was a different witch. And then after day 10, I was like, I kind of want to tell a story with these witches, because I'm running out of designs, So after day 10, it kind of became like a mini comic, little short pages. Basically, the coven has to battle and fight, your light versus dark forces of evil kind of thing. It's kind of fantasy action packed, but it was just, and it was on the fly too, because I had to do it, one new page each day. So I didn't really plan how the story was going to go, but yeah, once it was done, I sent all the pages to Lance, and yeah, and he created this incredible little book with that sparkly page that I love. And yeah, it's I still look at it and I'm like, wow, it's really cool to have something, that you created. And it was the first time that I had anything published with that artwork that was just mine, because I'd been working as part of comic book teams, and in collaboration with the artists for so long, because I was learning from them, essentially, training, hands-on training on the job. So to have this as my own thing, like solo project, it was a dream. And I'll always be thankful to Lance and everybody at Radix Media for doing that for me.
That's a beautiful thing, to have that accomplishment. It's like, yay.
Yeah, it's great.
I want to get into your music and your guitar work. I noticed that you do a lot of slide. So, and you did mention, that you have blues, you draw blues artists. And are those your influences basically from what you play?
Yeah, definitely. The first artist I came across in my research was Robert Johnson, and I feel like he's the gateway artist to this kind of music, because I'd wanted to go all the way back to the roots of blues music. So past the 1960s revival, all the way back to the late 19th century, and where it started in the Mississippi Delta. I came across Robert Johnson, Charlie Patton, Son House, Mississippi Fred McDowell, which I think I've drawn all those guys. They've all influenced me, and I love all of their music. And then I kind of went followed the timeline. So Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Lightning Hopkins, all these artists, I kind of just had like this influx of new music that I'd never heard before, at least not in this way. And yeah, they've influenced my artwork, my playing. I think Lightning Hopkins is my favorite, though, if I had to pick one. I just love the way because there's a certain timing for blues, your 12-bar blues, but oftentimes he makes those chord changes whenever the hell he wants to. And I love that. He's like, lightning changes when lightning wants to change, So I love his playing for that, because it kind of sets him apart, and you never really know when he's gonna, move the song in a different direction. And, I just love that. It's my favorite, his steady thumb. And oh man, definitely has, over the past year, has really influenced my creative endeavors for sure.
Mm-hmm. So did you, was it all self-taught, the slide and everything? Because that to me is like hard when it comes to slide, like that takes control.
It's weird at first. It's very foreign, because you're used to playing in between the frets, to get the correct pitch. But with a slide, you have to play right over the fret in order to stay in tune. And you're kind of floating over it. And my hand would get so stiff, because I felt the need to press down like a lot, because I'm used to playing fretted notes like normal. So it felt, I don't know, like my hand kind of felt weird and tingly, like it was floating over the fretboard all weird. And I don't know, at first it was tough and it was strange, but I found that that passed. And I was like, okay, now I found my flow, because I figured out which finger to put the slide on. First of all, some play on their pinky, some play on their ring. I think Bonnie Raitt plays on her middle finger, which is I tried that. That's really weird for me. But my ring finger I felt the most comfortable, and I finally found slides that fit too, because that's important. Because I have such skinny fingers, you know, and all the basic slides that you would find at like Guitar Center were for like a man's hands, you know, just super, like the diameter was huge. So actually recently the Rock Slide company reached out to me, and like they were like, hey, we can make you a custom slide. We love your videos, complimentary. And I was like, yes, I need a slide that fits my finger. And they made this little brass slide that kind of it's a short little one, which is fine by me because I play probably 2 or 3 strings at a time. I never bar the entire 6 strings. And you know, once I had that, and I've just been making sure that I play every day. And yeah, I'm self-taught and I'm still figuring it out.
So cool, man.
Yeah.
That's the coolest. You know, I wanted to also talk to you about a video that I saw called, and it had a bunch of various people in it, called Que Bonita Bandera.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Because I started seeing everywhere. And then I saw Rosie Perez.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, being a part of that was so cool, you know, just to collaborate with everyone on that it's interesting, because I'm still, you know, Puerto Rican culture and heritage, I still something I'm learning about myself, which, you know, I have been with La Borinqueña and working on Que Bonita Bandera. So my Spanish is really not that great, but I had to sing in Spanish and it was tricky. I hope it came out all right.
It did. No, I know what you mean, because my family's from Ecuador. I'm like first generation US. So my Spanish isn't great, but I understand it. And
yeah, I find that too. Like I know phrases and I know certain words and I know how you're supposed to pronounce things, but speaking it fluently, for some reason, like my brain does not compute it. I don't understand. It's so difficult. And I'm like, whatever. I try. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah. As long as like somebody comes by and says, hey, you know, starts talking to you Spanish, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know what you're saying.
Sort of. Yeah. And it's sometimes I have to be like, I'm sorry, I got nothing. I'm a New Englander, straight up Yankee. Like, you know, I'm speaking, sometimes I have like a New York accent. Sometimes that comes out because I get it from my mom. She's from Brooklyn. Okay. You know, and even her Spanish is broken, you know, it's not perfect, but I certainly cannot survive. If you were to drop me on an island in Puerto Rico, I would not survive. Okay.
That's awesome. So, so as far as like your guitars and stuff, like what like kind of drew you to them, or to say, oh yeah, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that, because they're beautiful guitars. If you could talk about them.
Yeah, I think if you can see behind me,
yeah, I can,
right there. That's my little parlor copper resonator. It's shining in the light right there. I knew playing this kind of music, you have to have a metal body resonator. Like there's no other sound like it. I mean, if you really want that swampy, gritty metal on metal sound, if you're playing with a metal slide, I found this Republic resonator because I was looking for something that was small for me, because I'm pretty small, and I needed like a parlor size kind of resonator, because I knew if I had like a regular sized one, it would be like crushing my legs. Those things are easy 10 pounds, you know, those metal body ones. So I found this amazingly beautiful copper parlor resonator and I love it. I've been drawn a lot to parlor guitars because those are the kinds of guitars that were played, you know, by the artists that originated the blues. They were playing these cheap Stella Harmony department store guitars. And they were parlor size, so they were small. They were meant to be played in the parlor section of a house, you know, just to have inside and quickly play something, and it didn't take up too much space. But they also have like this boxy kind of old school tone to it. My favorite is my Recording King parlor guitar. That thing is amazing. It's got like I said, like this real old time kind of boxy tone, but it's also can be used like a folk instrument. So I listen to a lot of folk as well. So a lot of like Joan Baez, and she's my favorite, the queen of the folk music. I love her. Bob Dylan as well. But yeah, a lot of smaller body guitars. That's kind of what I was drawn to. Those are the ones that feel most comfortable for me to play. And because if you don't feel comfortable playing it and you don't like the sound, you're not going to pick it up, so there's some guitars that you pick up and you're like, yeah, that's the one for me. It's kind of like in Harry Potter where the wand chooses you. It's like that.
Yeah, exactly.
As nerdy as it sounds, it's true.
And are you a Star Wars fanatic or
oh
nerd?
Yeah,
right
I
here.
don't know if you saw my video spinning lightsabers around, but yeah, I do that on my free time. It's good exercise.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know if you could see, but I have some Star Wars. I mean, I started, even though George Lucas did like the episodes with Natalie Portman when she played the queen or the princess or whatever, I was like so in love with that. But I've been like from episode 1 to like now in Disney. But I really loved her character. I really loved everything about that. So I like bought those.
Oh, Padme's the best.
Yeah,
she's out here doing the most for everybody.
But
I love her. She's awesome.
So I'm huge on Star Wars too.
Nice. We could talk about that. We could talk about we could go off on tangents about.
I know, right?
But I'm also a Star Trek fan too.
Oh yeah. Both. Okay, yeah, because I know Star Wars and Star Trek. The Trekkies and those, they go together.
I know they like to fight, but no, we can all get along. We can all exist in the galaxy together.
Right. Another thing too is, when you talked about your guitars and the tone and stuff, I can kind of see that with your design work. Kind of like the aesthetic of the two. Kind of, do you feel that also, like? Just your thoughts about your music or your playing or just how you feel about musically to design, how that meshes together, like?
Yeah, I think so. And now that I think about it, because I really like simple kind of down to earth things, and I find myself playing a lot of acoustic guitar, very unplugged, just sound coming straight out of the instrument. And I find that I've been doing that with my artwork, where it's more, yeah, like I said, down to earth, and kind of there's a fantasy element, but it's also it kind of exists in nature, if that makes sense. It's very organic in a way. I've been kind of, getting into things that are just more, I can explain this in a way that makes sense, but this is my artist brain is just going in a bunch of different directions. But yeah, just something that's really simple and just comes straight from your hands. You're playing into the acoustic guitar. The sound is coming straight out the sound hole. There's no other gadgets. And then with my artwork, I'm just keeping it simple tones, simple inking, and it's very earthy. I don't know if I'm getting into like cottage core, or I don't know. It's a weird, like maybe like bohemian, also kind of Western, kind of like acoustic life thing. So I can, if you can take all my words and put that in a Pinterest board, I'm sure you would come up with what I'm talking about. I know I'm not making any sense. Just take all the keywords and put them in Pinterest, and you'll be like, oh, okay, that's what she's talking about. If that makes sense, just like a cup of coffee in the morning. Think, just very simple kind of things like that. I feel like, my guitars are kind of like, that trope about how people have dogs that kind of look like them. I feel like those are my guitars, like, because I play them so often that I wonder if people associate them with me, because these are instruments that I worked hard for, and they aren't going anywhere. They're going to stay with me for the rest of forever. Like, so the way you associate certain instruments with certain artists, I would hope that, you know, people see the Recording King and they're like, oh, that reminds me of this person. Because in a way, I don't know, I kind of like to create that identity around the instrument.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I could see that just by looking at some of your work on Instagram, art wise, design wise, and, you know, playing wise, the music and everything. You know,
Yeah,
I did want to.
it's tricky because I'm like, I'm trying to explain it, and I'm like, I'm more of a let me just show you kind of person. I can never put things into words. I'm always visual.
Visual. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
just
right, brain.
yeah, you know, it's tough, you know. I'm like, let me just play it for you and you just hear it, or let me just draw it out and you can see it, because I can't articulate it. I'm just not good at that.
Yeah.
I've started getting into journaling to kind of help that, and songwriting. So it's getting better, but I'm definitely a show kind of person. Like, here, let me just, so you can see it, you know, and it'll make sense, hopefully.
And one last thing that I wanted to ask you, as far as your illustrations, like what medium do you use, or what do you use to create those and then get them into the digital? Is it paper, or are you doing it on an iPad?
Well, for the Witches Grimoire, all of those were done traditionally on paper with traditional ink. And then I had them scanned and digitally enhanced, and just to clean them up a bit and make them look nice for printing. But I actually haven't drawn traditionally in a long time. A lot of basically most of my recent artworks are all done digitally. So my iPad Pro is like my go-to. So I'm drawing straight onto the iPad, all digital, because it's just more convenient, and I can get away with a lot more mistakes that way. Yeah, like, and I can explore the effects of the applications that I use in there. So for the most part, yeah, everything is digital that I'm doing right now.
Do you use Procreate on the iPad?
Yes.
Yes.
That is the GOAT. And they're always updating it all the time. And they love, and I'm like, how can you make this better? And then their update makes it better. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, everything that I do is through there. And it's awesome. Yeah, I love that program.
I know, I love that program too.
It's so good.
My kids introduced it to me because they can draw really well. And I always try to push them, like, do design work, you know, for a living. You can make a lot of money. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's the opportunities are definitely there. I feel like it's easier now more than ever, you know, to teach yourself how to do, because everything digitally, I taught myself via like YouTube videos back when I was on DeviantArt tutorials. I've been drawing and posting online for a very long time, and way before the iPad Pro was even a glimmer in Apple's eye. Like, you know, so it's a lot of fun, and it's easy to kind of dive into if you're looking into illustration. So
yeah, awesome. Well, Sabrina, it was so great to like get to know you and hear about all your successes, and you know whatever's in the future. I know that, you know, we'll be able to see everything. Is there anything in the future? I know you wanted to work on music and kind of combine your design with that.
Yeah, I hope, because I keep getting questions about do you have any records out or anything like that every time, and I really do want to record. I have all this stuff ready to go. You know, it's just sometimes life happens and you kind of push it off. But yeah, and that's definitely something that I really want to do, and I'm trying to focus on figuring that out. I have a couple songs written that I've kind of kept close to my chest, but I would love to share them. So that's definitely something for the future that I would love to do. As far as my artwork goes, I do have a couple projects that I can't really talk about, but recently I just finished up a comic book project for John Leguizamo. He has a superhero comic out, and I was inking on it. So that's coming out soon. And then I just wrapped up a coloring book for Casita Maria in the Bronx. So that should be dropping soon. And yeah, just working on commissions. I'm available for commission as well. But yeah, those are the things down the line.
Awesome. Yeah. And, give everybody your socials, where they can find you, where they can, if they want to, ask you for, just develop something or commission you for something, or even listen to your music.
Yeah, so you can find me at Stardays Trail on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. Where else am I? Facebook. And you can message me and send me a DM. And if you're interested in a commission, or if you just want to say hi, I won't bite. And you can also find my artwork and my shop at stardaystrail.com, as well as my art book. And yeah, you can send me an email to the contact page too, if that's your jam. And yeah, I appreciate the support.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have all your links on our podcast. We'll put it in the show notes. And
Awesome.
yeah, there we go. So support Sabrina, go to her socials, purchase her book, check out even her prints, check out her stuff. And Sabrina, thank you once again for joining us here at Fret Sisters Between Frets. Yay!
Yay, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. I hope I didn't ramble too much.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. We love rambling.
Yay.
Yay. All right. So have a good day then. Bye-bye.
Bye.